Welcome back to Gaijin Hideout. I'm Jeff. With me, as always, is Jesse. And today we got something different on the screen, Jesse.
Oh, very interesting, Jeff. Look at this.
Something interesting, something different. So today we're doing a special video. We had the idea we're going to do a preemptive tier list of all the vocations from Dragon's Dogma 2. So this is we've reacted to about every video under the sun related to Dragon's Dogma 2, including all of the vocation highlights trailers for all of these different vocations, and we've kind of done a deep dive on each of these and stuff like that. So based on the information we have now, and before we touch the game, we're going to rank. It's a tier list, basically. D is worst, S is best, if you don't know. Each vocation individually. Okay, so I'm over here on the left. This is me, and then over here on the right, we got Jesse. Where it's near Jesse down here. So yeah, we're just gonna go through each one individually, and we're gonna go through the summary of the vocation and just kind of get a recap from the website, and then we're going to rank them. So,
and it should also be said that this is the ranking that we're going for here is personal enjoyment. How much fun we think we're gonna have with this particular vocation. It's not based on like power or any kind of synergy potential. It's just based on if I'm gonna play a vocation, if I'm gonna sit down and spend however many hours playing the game, what do I think I'm gonna have the most fun with?
Yeah, how much fun is Jeff going to have? How much fun is Jesse going to have? And also, we're doing for characters that you play as. We're not considering them for pawns, because honestly, we're not intelligent enough at Dragon's Dogma to think about it that way. So this is like if our character's playing as this class, how much fun are we having? So yeah,
there you go.
Before we get into the first one, I did just want to give a quick shout out. We got a super chat in the live chat for the premiere of our last reaction video. So that would, we do a premiere when we upload the video, and that's where
I didn't even know that could happen, Jeff, until today.
Yeah, and that's just where the first time the video is uploaded, it plays through live, and everyone can talk, and we're normally in there giving comments and stuff. But apparently, you could super chat in there. So I just wanted to give I felt obligated to give a shout out or something, since we weren't physically live for the premiere. Obviously, that was the video. So thank you, Jimmy Little, for $10. I think this is Australian, and he says Masterworks all can't go wrong. So so I guess now if you didn't know before, you could, if you like the video and you're in the live chat and you want to support the channel, you could just give a super chat and we'll read it out next time.
There you go.
Another thing I think you can do is you can also give a super thanks if you read it afterwards, and that's like a super chat, but it's a comment, and it should be down below.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Down below near the description. I'm not sure where exactly, but it will like pin your comment up at the top with like a little sticker, kind of like this, kind of how the chat gets pinned up there. You don't have to do any of that, by the way. Like, we do appreciate your views.
You being here is
but we also do appreciate money, so it's worth highlighting, I think. So, but yeah, without further ado, this is our tier list empty. We're going to go in order like how the coat of arms are aligned on the website, and so we're going to start with the fighter. So the fighter class. Fighter vocation, excuse me. So, as we've learned in the past, the fighter vocation excels in melee combat. Deftly wielding a sword and shield, fighters can slice through enemy ranks and deliver powerful blows while also using their shields to protect themselves and their allies. So this is the parry class. We have a parry class at least. We have a shield. It's going to be your L1 and your sword, your R1. Pretty straightforward. I would say the only thing I would comment on the gameplay is it did stick out from the first one as like more heavy, it felt more modern, almost more, I don't want to say Dark Souls, so I think people are getting tired of the Souls comparisons, but it's like if you were going to try and do the Dark Souls, if you were hell bent on doing a playthrough and you were like, I want this to be like Dark Souls or something, like you would probably start with the fighter class. I don't know, but it's more punchy, more weighty. The parries felt more legit for me. compared to like what I'd seen in Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen. I really did not mess with the fighter at all when I played it on my own. So
Very, very briefly, yeah.
So, do you have any thoughts, Jesse, or do you want to just go right into the ranking?
Yeah, I've never really resonated with the fighter type classes. It looks cool as all get out in this game, the way they've kind of done it up and
okay.
But yeah, I don't know. It's just not flashy enough for me, Jeff. You know, like, when you're in a game where you have like crazy magic spells and stuff, I'm always like, okay, please give me the crazy magic. You know, let me go to 1,000.
Fair enough. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and rank. I'm gonna do mine, then we'll have Jesse do his. I'm gonna say just because the combat looks substantially more fluid and fun, even though it's not that flashy, and because I understand now from playing the first one that the warrior does more damage, but he also takes more damage. He has less defense. Whereas the fighter is a bit of a tank, can aggro people, and he's got the parry. That reality combined with how it looks, I'm going to give it a B. I'm going to give it a B.
Oh, okay.
I would not mind. I would not mind playing. I'm looking forward to at least trying it out. Yeah. It looks fun. Like the loop of like the pairing and everything. It looks fun. It looks modern. Looks tight. So it sold me up to a B on it. You know, it's nothing flashy, but I don't necessarily need.
It gets the job done. You know, you get in, you get out. Everyone's dead.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Jesse, now your turn.
All right. It's a toss-up. It is a toss-up for me between C and D. Because again, I just think they've done all the classes so well in this game. And even though I personally am not attracted to, you know, the melee slash classes a lot of the time, I still think it would be pretty fun to play just because it's in this game. So what I'm going to say C, Jeff. I'm going to say C. I'm going to step onto a limb, for me anyway, and put it in C.
All right, fair enough. There we have it. Okay, next one. Next one is the Archer class. Or Vocation, damn it. Vocation.
You'll get it one day.
One day.
Same thing, it doesn't matter.
The Archer Vocation specializes in long-range attacks using a bow and arrow. They perform their attacks from afar and can target enemies in high positions. In addition, they are essential in supporting the front line. For example, by targeting enemy weaknesses, they can create opportunities for your allies to strike. So I was very excited to play this
this one looks especially interesting because it looks like it's got this whole auto aim thing almost. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff, or anyone else, but I don't think we had this kind of like Legolas level fluidity in the first game. If you played Archer, I mean, it looks like you can still not Archer, excuse me, but Strider. It looks like you can still manually aim and whatnot, but I don't know. What do you think, Jeff?
I'm still not fully clear. It sounds like from the last video that we reacted to, where Max was talking about how his experience with the Mystic Spearhand was that it sounds like that had some kind of weird auto aim going on, like a subtle auto aim. And so I suspect that all of the classes they have this kind of auto aim thing going on. I don't know what you call that, like soft aim, soft lock. That's what he called it, right? Soft
lock, yeah. I think so.
I think the soft lock is there, and it's meant to like make the Archer vocation stand on its own, so that like you have a combination of like soft lock, quick attacks, and also maybe like some athletic skills, like kicking off of the enemies and stuff like that, maybe a dodge or something like that. So I think that makes him a bit more. That's the Legolas part. Is it's like you're basically like firing from the hip, more or less, but you're probably going to hit somebody.
Yeah, it's a little bit in a way. It's very kind of role play, right? Because it's always a little weird, like when you're playing as an archer who just totally kicks ass, right? But you yourself may not have the best aim on the planet. You know, there's a kind of like there's kind of a conflict there in it, and I like the whole angle of soft lock, introducing the fact that this guy, you are a badass archer, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and rank them. I'll start. This is an easy A for me. I've been very excited about this. I think when I first reacted to it, I was more excited, and then as I got the context of all the other vocations, it's kind of tempered it a little. So that's the reason why it's not in S, is because I think like it's interesting. It's really exciting to me, like the way that you can play that archer, but I'm just a little unclear about how the soft lock works. How exactly how much athletic, kind of abilities that you have, and how much of that I'm going to use realistically. Because the real concern with the archer is like that you're just, you just don't ever want that to turn into like a vocation where you're just stuck firing arrows. It's like this, forced shooter vocation in the game, and so the draw for me is the mobility, but I just haven't seen enough of the mobility and seeing how the quick shots work and stuff like that to make it like a S, like it's super awesome. And also it is missing a little bit of the spectacle, just kind of like how fighter.
I mean, especially in a universe where you've got magic archer,
Right. Yeah. It's just, there's always magic archer kind of sitting in the background as well. So.
Like, hey, when you rather do this,
Yeah. All right. And what about you, Jesse?
I think I'm going to give it a solid B. Yeah. I'm more attracted to this than any kind of a warrior class, just because it looks so stylish. I don't know if I've ever quite played a game where it looks like almost inhabit the body of Legolas and just take a bunch of names and kick a bunch of ass. So I'm just going to put it nicely in B, I think.
Okay. All right, there you go. Next one. Let's do this. Thief. The thief attacks with deadly speed, dealing rapid and consecutive strikes with daggers in both hands while exhibiting outstanding mobility. They quickly step away after striking, exploit openings to cling onto enemies, and inflict heavy damage. They may also steal items from NPCs and enemies.
Okay, interesting. Yeah.
So what do you think about this one, Jesse?
For me, this is a little bit more of the same, right? When it comes to the melee classes. I think maybe, and the weird thing is, like, I love stealth games. And you know this, like, I love Metal Gear and all these kinds of games like that. But I don't know how big an element stealth is in Dragon's Dogma 2. And there's another question mark in the sense that, like, I don't know what the stealing is like, right? Can I rob everybody in town? Can I get a bunch of awesome secret gear from enemies? I'm not quite clear on that, and for me that does change the equation. So I looking at it right now, I just kind of have to gauge it based on its fighting, and unfortunately for me, in terms of like fun potential, it's kind of more or less the same. I'm just not super into the the slashy slash classes. That's just a me thing though.
Yeah, I've gone back and forth on the thief because I wasn't sure how much it's going to be like the Strider. It does seem to clearly, you can see the skull splitter, helm splitter move there. And it does seem like it has just a lot of the Strider moves. But I've gone back and forth on like how much I would enjoy this compared to the other classes or vocations. So like the more that I've seen, these extra skills in like other footage, like the more that I've seen the thief like stringing together different techniques, the more I'm kind of being sold on it. And the may also steal items from NPCs and enemies definitely piques my interest because
that's very interesting. Yeah.
Because you could just like, what if you just run into an area where you're completely underleveled, but you can just like rob every like enemy you see,
There's an element of cheese there that I just find extremely attractive. But I'm just not sure how that's actually going to play out in the game. Can I really just go ballistic and rob everybody? I don't know. If I can, well, that changes things. But I'm just not certain on that point yet.
Yeah, so I'm going. This one's going to be a little tough for me. The other thing about the thief is like it's just such the daggers the daggers in this game, in the first game, were so fun. I'm almost tempted to put it. Okay, I guess the nice thing about the tier list is you can order the things that are in the same tier. So
Yeah.
I'm going to put it in A tier. I don't think it's quite earned S tier, but I'm going to put it in A tier ahead of Archer. Believe it or not. Even though I was so excited about Archer, the more, after I took
he
the
slowly
personality
talked himself into loving
after I took the personality test and I thought about it, I was like, like the things about Dragon's Dogma that I really like, they came from Strider. Like the things that feel good to play as. It's like I'm playing as a magic archer, but I'm dodge rolling like crazy. I am using those knife skills, like those dagger skills, like my life depends on it, where it's appropriate. When I was assassin, I really enjoyed climbing on an enemy and just shredding his health while I was up there. Like that was really fun.
Absolutely.
So, just as for a class as a whole, it's not quite S tier, but just because of like the solid memories coming from the Strider and the fact that I never even fully let it go. Like I went with Magic Archer and just kept the daggers with me and stuff too. I'm going to have it out ahead of the Archer. And I'm probably going to start as the Thief. Everyone said in the comments on that video, they were like, you got to hold them to it, or
do it.
Some people said, do what you want. But I think, that was what was chosen for me. And the more I've thought about it, especially after beating the game, playing Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen again to beat the game that we did this past Saturday, I'm like, man, the thing I really remember is just slash, knife. So that's my reasoning there.
Okay, very interesting. Yeah.
What about you, Jesse?
I'm so split on the Thief because again, it comes to that. How much is that cheese potential realized? Assuming that this class has a bunch of power in that regard, I would honestly probably put it in A, but I'm not going to assume that. Because I love that fantasy of just like sneaking around, nobody spots you, and you just whoosh, kill a dude, take all their stuff. I love that so much. I've just played so much Metal Gear, not to be obsessed with that, but as it is, looking at it in the context of okay, you're fighting with a big group of people, you're all cutting up on a guy and not assuming any kind of like, stealth cheese or really extensive stealing mechanics. I'm just going to have to put it in C ahead of the warrior, I think.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. I think
ahead of the fighter, I mean.
Ahead of the fighter. All right. So next one we have is Mage. Okay.
Here we go. We go.
Mage is this is right up Jesse's alley. So
it is.
Wielding a staff, the mage offers support.
Class.
Yeah, the mage offers support to their party in various ways, from launching magic attacks, offering enchantments that bolster their party members' weapons, to casting healing spells. The more advanced and powerful the magic is, the longer the incantation time will be. As a mage, you will experience the strategic excitement of deftly executing your magic abilities. Now, Jesse, for this one, I'm going to let you speak on it, and I'm also going to let you go first for this one.
Yeah, I mean, what's to say? It feels so often like the magic class in a game is either the most broken, overpowered, showy class, or just something you never want to touch with a 10-foot pole. And for me especially, like I have always, I remember being a kid and I was just obsessed with the idea of magic. I would sit down at a very young age and write stories about how I was a wizard and, crazy stuff like that. The idea of any kind of magic has just pervaded my life in so many different ways. But anyway, in terms of this particular game, I just think it's such an interesting class because it gives you a lot of utility in addition to all the attack potential you have. And I find it interesting as well that they haven't like split off healing from mage. Like there's no priest class or anything like that. They give, at least if they've kept it like the original, they've given a lot of the utility healing spells and so on straight to the mage. So it's not just about blowing stuff up. It's also about keeping your party alive, keeping them in good fighting shape. So yeah, let's go over to the tier list. Why don't we?
All right. So where would you rate this?
Such a stan. I am such a ridiculous stan for mage. I have to put it. You may find this surprising, Jeff, but I'm only going to put it in A tier.
Okay.
And the reason I'm only going to put it in A tier is because Sorcerer is also going to be ranked.
Okay.
So.
Fair enough. Are you ready for mine?
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
All right, here we go.
Oh, crushing defeat.
I put it in D. This one, I put it in D. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, I understand. I totally get it. It's not for everybody. And like we joke about so many times, it is kind of like a waiting simulator. You gotta wait for your boring spells to go off, It's not.
Well, you know what's funny about this? You know what's funny about this? You know why, a big reason why this is in D for me?
Go
it's
ahead.
The same reason this is an A for you. Is because of the Sorcerer. Because
really?
When I saw like the true scope of like what you can do with the Sorcerer, without getting too into that one because that one's coming up, and then I just compared it to the Mage, where you're casting the spells and you're the healer.
Yeah, it does feel a little basic. I get you.
Yeah. So for me, because my bias is like against this kind of combat here, where you're like, it's slow. You got to like kind of keep your distance and kind of plot it out. In a game like this, like my animal brain like runs from this and like dashes towards like, Strider.
Yeah. See, for me, it's not even really about the combat per se. It's about like the fantasy. Mm-hmm. It's about living that fantasy of just being a badass Gandalf, blowing people up with spells and just. I want to do something I can't do in my normal life. Not that I can swing a sword or, be a badass swordsman in my normal life, but this is just so far removed. Not to mention I've been obsessed with it for so long that I just have to put it way up there just because I always go for it.
Yeah, no, of course. And everyone who watches the channel, they knew that was coming. I apologize to any Mage users. I will be, just to reiterate, I will be playing all of the different vocations in my playthrough. So there will be a stint of doing the Mage.
Maybe Jeff will surprise himself. Maybe he'll love the tactical waiting.
We are going to return to this, and we will see if I like the pretty loading screens of the Mage.
They've got some really pretty ones, Jeff. You never know.
Yeah, you never know.
Beautiful.
All right. Well, with that, we're going to go to the Warrior. So the Warrior class, vocation, excuse me. The Warrior vocation boasts a robust physique specializing in direct combat with the strength to endure enemy counterattacks. Warriors are masters of two-handed weapons such as the greatsword and the hammer. The strike that is unleashed after charging power and identifying an opening is among the most powerful attacks of all vocations.
This is another very interesting one. Why don't you go ahead on it, Jeff? This might be a little bit more your style.
Okay, so my take on this is actually going to be in the context of other games I've played. I know people don't like to bring Elden Ring into this, but I'm going to bring Elden Ring in for this one for my unique. This is my play experience that I've had. Elden Ring is a very difficult game to like access the combat of, especially compared to Dragon's Dogma. That's where Dragon's Dogma clears Elden Ring. Is like it is, it's not easy, but there's more of a thread that you can pull at in Dragon's Dogma if you really want to like understand it yourself without like getting. It's not too foreign, and I wouldn't even say it's accessible. It's just if you want to commit yourself, you can like understand it. Elden Ring, I struggled with that for like almost every kind of form of combat. The one that I did enjoy a lot, that I think they did really well, and that I ended up beating the game with, was the colossal sword weapons class. Yeah. Like I just used the guts build basically. Like I just would lug around this giant sword. I learned how to dodge. I never parried, and I would just shave off little chunks, noticeable chunks of the boss's health bar, hold on for dear life, that kind of a thing. And that's what got me through it. And so for all the, all when all said and done, that was it was a phenomenal experience. It was like a huge, giant, scaly sword that I had. It had like this cool art that like powered everything up. And that gave me that like experience. Of just like the weight on it was like and stuff like that. So it felt great. It was awesome. Big sword. Mm-hmm. Love it.
Yeah, that feeling of power you get by what presumably playing this class. I mean, just looking at it right now.
Well, that's what I'm getting to. The reason I bring up Elden Ring is because this game, from what I've seen for the warrior class specifically, has not sold me in the same way. And it is specifically, it's only going off of the demo footage, so this could be wrong and this could change, but it's specifically because of the kinds of swords that I'm seeing the warrior use. Like,
okay.
This is like, maybe I'm spoiled from other games and stuff like that, but like this is just not, it's not doing it for me in the same, in the same way as a great sword in Elden Ring did it for me. So if you're going in and you want this to be the big sword class, I just haven't seen, like, we see this one flaming sword. I've seen other ones. I haven't seen any that are just, it's got to be over the top, and for me, it's not quite like that. The other thing the other thing I'm apprehensive about, and this is probably because I'm just bad, probably like is at the games, is it outputs a lot of attack, and then I'm told it takes a lot of you take a lot of damage. So you
okay, so it's less defensive than the fighter. Yeah.
So you're like a slow glass cannon, and I'm not apprehensive about, or I'm a bit apprehensive about that. I'm not a fan of that. So I'm going to just I know I babbled on a bit there, but I'm going to rank this just so that all my thoughts are together and people can follow. I'm going to give this one a C.
Okay. Very interesting.
I'm less and genuinely, this could easily jump up to an A. I just don't have enough like data to like have that happen. But like right now, if I'm looking on pure gameplay mechanics and thinking about it, I'm more comfortable and cozy with the fighter, even though the warrior has like more damage and maybe a bigger sword. What would change this for me is if that timing mechanic for timing the swings is just like they just knock that out of the park, and that makes it like really fun to do, because that's different from every kind of great sword.
One thing I'm noticing about us is that we're definitely coming at this from different angles, not only in terms of the classes we like, but I feel like I'm coming at it from more of like okay, this is the fantasy I want to play, versus you're looking at it from a more mechanical angle, which I find very interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, that is true. That's a good point. So on that note, do you want to give your thoughts on?
Yeah.
And
you know what? I'm a fan of Berserk. I'm a big fan of the whole guts build. I find that more flavorful, a lot more flavorful, in fact, than just the guy with sword and shield. This guy has a big ass sword and a big ass personality to go with it. I'm less concerned about. I see what you're saying, but I'm less concerned by it.
Sure.
And the fantasy of this and carrying around all that power is just a more intriguing, attractive kind of class or vocation fantasy to play with than, say, the fighter, for instance. So can we go back to the
Absolutely.
Cool. I think I'm gonna put this actually in B tier. Yeah, I think I'm gonna put it in B tier. And I think I'm gonna put it. Oh God, it's so hard. It's so hard, Jeff. I think I'm gonna put it in front of the archer, actually, because again, just not necessarily because I like swinging around a sword, but I'm just more into that having a ton of power at your disposal and just being able to knock enemies right across the room. The idea of that is just so appealing to me versus, say, for example, again, the fighter, and even just a little bit more than the archer.
All right. Very good. Very good. We're halfway there. Now we get into some really interesting discussions, I think.
Okay, here we go. It's heating up. Heating up, Jeff.
All right. First, I'm going to let you lead with this one for sure. This is Sorcerer.
I mean, what do you say about the Sorcerer? It just feels like it's like, how did they even put this in the game? Like it's just, it's so broken. I remember when we first got it in Dragon's Dogma 1, it felt like nothing was happening. And then all of a sudden, every enemy we ever met just melted within seconds, and good for the game. It definitely didn't let the Sorcerer steal the show, because the enemies did get tougher, and the classes, vocations rather, that you were playing as, they scaled up as well. But this is just such I mean, this feels like just magic let loose. You know, this is what people think of instinctively when they think of a badass wizard. I mean, and there's been other games where you can play as a really broken wizard. If you played Oblivion, for instance, and you've gone to the Mages Guild and you've just made your overpowered spells, you know, you're broken. You can craft spells in that game that will just rip it in half. You can do anything. You become a god in a sense. But this particular vocation, it doesn't only capture that sense of power that you want when you're playing one of these magic classes, but it captures that sense of like showiness. It isn't just powerful, it looks powerful. It just hits it in every way you can possibly knock it out of the park, and I kind of love it. I have to put this, Jeff, easily in S tier.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course, I expect nothing less. Okay, so for me, you know, I said Mage was in D tier. Sorcerer is one of the ones where I'm not really thinking in terms of mechanics anymore. A lot of this has been I think it's going to be fun because of mechanics. I'm still apprehensive about how the mechanics of the Sorcerer are going to work compared to the to the Mage or just compared to like these other ones. But these guys like ended up in A tier that I have here, Thief and Archer, almost entirely because of their mechanics, not really because of their showiness or how it felt.
Yeah.
Sorcerer, one thing that's really doing it for me is obviously everything you said. This was like the coolest, craziest stuff that I'd ever seen in a game.
I've never seen a game realize magic better in a more flashy way.
Yeah, and it was like it was so useful and helpful in the first game.
Mm-hmm.
More importantly, it is so cool. It's fully modern. Like they took advantage of the modernization and just made it even cooler. Like I'm just even thinking of the Tempest here. Like the Tempest.
I hate to interrupt
upgraded. Yeah, go ahead.
I hate to interrupt your train of thought, but this feels like one of the classes that they honestly haven't tweaked that much. You know what I mean? Just because they knocked it out of the park the first time.
I'm just really happy with how much they like upgraded the animations. That's what I like. The Maelstrom. I'm so proud of them for what they did with the Maelstrom.
Yeah.
So because of all of that, oh boy.
I feel it. I feel your pain, Jeff. Just give in. Just give in, Jeff. No, you want to.
I'm gonna put it. I think I'm gonna put it in A. It's gonna go in A for me. It's gonna go in A. I was contemplating S, believe it or not, but the thing that's holding me back is like I just don't know if it's gonna be a gimmick for me, where it's like I can never figure out the timing on this, but when I do, it's awesome. That kind of a thing. Now the question I have to decide is, does it go out ahead of these ones? In style alone, it is out ahead, obviously. In terms of substance,
well, would you want to play it though? Is the thing? Is it gonna be fun for you?
Yes, because of the payoff of getting any of those spells off is too fun for it to not be fun
that's a good point.
for anybody. So I'm going to tentatively put it behind the others because I don't know the mechanics. I don't know the mechanics, but it's on the and I know the mechanics of these. I know I'm going to enjoy these to some extent. But like I think it solidly belongs in A. I'm easily more excited about it than any of these for sure. It's just that it's a lot of potential upside, a lot of potential downside, but the upside is so strong that like it puts it in A, for me at least.
Yeah. Well said, Jeff.
All right. Next one, Magic Archer.
Oh, here we go.
A very beloved vocation in my chat and by myself, and I played this. I played this for like so much of the second half really of our Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen playthrough. So available only to the Arisen. We're in the hybrid classes. The Magic Archer.
This is a really special class.
The Magic Archer vocation excels in long-range combat with their magical arrows. In addition to attacking or healing, Magic Archers are also adept at supporting their allies. They can learn a custom skill that unleashes a devastating attack over a wide area in exchange for reducing their own maximum HP. So I'm going to jump in on this one since I played a lot of it.
Okay. Yeah.
Here's the thing. Every time I think about the Magic Archer, and I'm never like that thrilled about it. I'm never that thrilled about imagining it. But every time, it like on paper, it just doesn't seem that cool. It seems kind of interesting. So, it's interesting, but like, it's not like the Sorcerer or like, another
it
one
can
that we're
sometimes feel a bit kind of pew pew. You know what I mean?
almost underwhelming. But every time I go back into the game and I play as it, it's so comfy. It's just a very comfy.
Oh, absolutely.
Vocation, especially because you still have the some knife skills, and they're augmented by like cool magic abilities in the first one. But just in general, it's like I was kind of aware that when I was playing this Magic Archer, I was like, maybe I'm like not having that amazing of an effect on the damage for like these enemies. When I'm shooting magic arrows, and part of that was my fault. I wasn't like buffing myself with like certain things or whatever, but, and I didn't get immolation till the very end and never used it. I just realized right now, but
oh no, you're right.
We tried it one time and then we were done with the game. Whoops. But I will say, like, there's just something about the homing arrows that is just cool enough that it's like makes you keep coming back, and the fact that you're dealing magic damage or elemental damage.
It's very nice to have aim assist, Jeff. What can I say?
Now that's all in the Well, it makes more sense. It's an RPG. I know it's an action RPG, but it's an RPG. It's not a shooter.
Yeah.
Okay,
let me live a little.
That was what was miserable about the Strider was aiming the arrows. It's like, guys, I'm not doing a third-person shooter right now. This is not going to work. Now, that's all in the context of Dragon's Dogma 1. Dragon's Dogma 2, from what I've seen from the Magic Archer, it's got me a lot more excited than I thought I would be. And it's even just thinking about it, like in the few seconds like leading up to this moment, I'm like, you know what? Actually, that's like, there's a lot there that I'm kind of excited about because you've got a healing arrow now, a healing arrow that
I know the utility on this guy. You're right. Great point.
You've got this, we've seen reports from the people whose like demo playthroughs we've reacted to, like their videos. They've said like we were shredding griffins with this fire arrow ability. Mm-hmm. So like the damage output in certain cases has been like upped drastically. You've got this.
I mean, that would be my only complaint. Not that I really remember my time with the Magic Archer. It was a long time ago at this point, but that would be my only complaint watching you play is sometimes it just felt like you weren't really hitting the enemies. Yeah, you look cool, but I don't know if you're doing a lot of damage.
Yeah. On top of that, you have this amazing AoE spell, spell, I guess. Like this amazing AoE shot where it like these golden arrows are looping around everywhere, including behind you. It looks insane. It looks insane. And it adds that extra added cool factor that we were missing, like that big like that boom that like the Sorcerer's got, the Mystic Spearhand's got plenty of that. Magic Archer was coming up a little short on that in the first game, but like visually it's got like, look at that looks insane. And we learned from one of the videos we reacted to that this might even like put it over the edge even more. Like this might be the real standout thing is that we now have like a quick shot versus a long shot option for all of these spells.
Yeah, great point, Jeff.
So, which is a huge deal. So basically, for people who aren't familiar, you can quickly tap the button associated with the skill. You get a different variant of the skill. You get like a faster, maybe less impactful or different form of the skill. So for the flame arrow that we saw, if you tapped the button, it would shoot an arrow that like exploded and did fire damage and was effective. Mm-hmm. But if you held it, then a different spell it's like more like a spell. There's something more unique to it would happen. Yeah. So for the flame arrow, if you hold it, you shoot an arrow like a fire arrow, but then the camera zooms and follows the arrow, and you can steer it like a missile to like hit a specific point on like an enemy or on like a boss or something. And that's a huge game changer because that was the one thing I had to do a lot with Magic Archer was like keep my distance and aim. And like if things rushed me and I was aiming, I was like screwed. It was time to switch to daggers. Now I'm back to Strider. You know? Like, but having that is insane. Like that's really interesting to me.
I couldn't agree more, Jeff. Yeah.
And that combined with how cozy it would have been even without that, that's got me really excited.
Oh, I know. I mean, this is such a special class, Jeff. I've never seen. I don't feel like I've ever seen anything like this in any other game I've played. It is so. It's so cool.
It is the ultimate dark horse class. It's the ultimate
so
sleeper.
creative.
It's like a sleeper hit.
It makes me look at other games and just shake my head in horror. Like, come on, guys, get your act together. Where are the crazy creative classes like this? Why are we just getting the bog standard everything year after year? I totally get what you're saying, Jeff.
Yeah. So because of all, like my whole little TED talk that I gave there, because of all that, Magic Archer's going in S for me, easily in S. I have a lot of nostalgia associated with it, and it looks like they're just going to upgrade my affinity for it. It looks like they're addressing all the things that I would have been like, oh, this is A or B if it was like exactly the same. It's like they're addressing it, and they're making me more curious about it. So, easy, that
I'll tell you what, Jeff. I think that it's so hard for me to decide between S and A.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you what, I think I'm gonna agree with you, Jeff. I think this is an S tier, and I think it's just behind the Sorcerer because this is it's so cool. I mean, how can you? It's just such an attractive class to play, and it looks like they've upgraded all the mechanical stuff as well.
Mm-hmm.
Now I don't know if I'm gonna want to play this with, say, for example. We'll talk about it more soon, but the Warfare. Like, I don't know if I'm going to want to pair this with the Warfare, but by itself, it just looks like it's so much fun to play. And it's one of the things that stands out in my memory from my time with the game when I first played it many, many years ago, is just how cool and fun this class is.
Very true. Very good. Nice. We got one in the same category. Is that the only one we have that's
I think
same?
So far.
That's so funny. Oh, look at that. We have consensus. All right. So let's do Mystic Spearhand next. Now, Mystic Spearhand.
Here we go.
Here we go. My brain had to process that I was saying the words Mystic Spearhand the first time. So, the Mystic Spearhand, a vocation available only to the Arisen, combines melee and magic, making them a well-balanced vocation that is effective from any range. The Mystic Spearhand is a master of their unique weapon, the Duosphere. Using magic, they can paralyze enemies or hurl multiple objects at them. I mean, what more needs to be said? It is the Sith Lord.
You're a Sith or Jedi. Your choice.
Yeah, you're Darth Maul. Look at this. You have levitation. You shock.
Depends if you start chucking townsfolk. I guess.
You shock. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to do that in one town. I'm just gonna ruin it.
Would you like to fly?
I'm gonna make Just Revious fly so much. You've got the levitation. You've got the warping. You've got the the increasing momentum of twirling the sphere that we've seen shave the health off of bosses. I think with the right spacing and stuff, if you just get the spacing down, making sure you're away at the right time and then closing in on the enemy for the kill at the right time. I think this is like this is an amazing class.
This looks like a protagonist in a Final Fantasy game. It is that cool.
Yeah. It really is. So I don't think much needs to be said about this. For me, this is the best. No. This is the best one.
Very good.
It's actually,
okay. I get it.
I think it's going to dethrone Magic Archer for me. I said all the nice things about Magic Archer. I think this one might do it for me. I might be, there's a chance. I'll say there's a chance this could end up in B or C for me. Like that. It's like there's some weird
that's the thing. It's like
weird technique to it that I don't get, that I never fully sinks in. But
maybe it doesn't land right.
If it's like Magic Archer but like melee, like all the strategies and versatilities of Magic Archer, but for melee,
we haven't even seen. At least I don't think so. What this can do fully realized. I know we've seen that one.
No,
we've
been geeking
copies
out.
Himself. But.
That's what I realized when we saw. I realized it when we were reacting to a video and we saw how many extra abilities were given to the magic archer, and we started going
Right.
through them. It like clicked in the back of my mind that it was like we were geeking out over the basic stuff, probably not even like half of the abilities of the skills for Mystic Spearhand. We were freaking out over. Like we've seen more of Magic Archer than we've seen of Mystic Spearhand, and we were freaking out more over the basic Mystic Spearhand stuff.
Yeah.
So that one's it for me. What about you?
Well, for me, I think I'm absolutely in agreement. This is the way I like to do a melee class. You know, for me, this is just Jedi. I'm a huge, at least I was, huge fan of Star Wars. I love the fantasy of this, and I'm just gonna have to drop it right in front of Magic Archer. I mean, it's just so cool. I want to cut people up. I want to force throw people off a cliff. It just looks like a blast, Jeff.
All right. Let's move on then. Let's do the final I guess
The final two. Yeah.
what is it called? What are these called again? Hybrid? The final hybrid? I don't know if we count this one as a hybrid. I guess it's the hybrid, but we'll get to that in a minute. So this is Trickster, vocation exclusive to the Risen.
Yeah, this. I feel like this one is such a wild card, Jeff.
Yeah, it really is. A vocation exclusive to the Arisen, the Trickster can conjure illusions through the smoke created by its unique weapon, the Censor. Tricksters can use illusions to deceive enemies into fighting against their own. They also have the ability to temporarily increase the power of pawns beyond their limits. So I think the part that's left out in this description and that we learned from IGN's deep dive video that we should put out in front for the audience if they're not familiar. This vocation does not have direct damage attacks at all. At all. You are totally reliant.
It's fall damage. That's your damage.
You're
buddy.
totally reliant on bewitching enemies into attacking each other. You're reliant on using this dragon move to make a boss like fall and be vulnerable and be attacked by pawns. You're buffing your pawns with very strong buffs, and you are reliant on or you're reliant on casting illusions like a wall to keep enemies confused and at bay while your pawns close in, or a fake platform to get your enemies to kill themselves via fall damage. So it is a very different game that you're playing as a straight Trickster. We're not talking Trickster in a Warfarer, build or something like that, where you can borrow some of his stuff. Like a straight Trickster, it almost would be like a different game, like almost like a strategy.
A completely
game.
different game.
Yeah.
It feels like a RTS or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say like RTS. That was
just Age of Empires now.
Yeah. What do you think, Jesse? I'll let you go first on this one. This is in the Magic category.
Yeah, this is such a wild card of a class, and especially because we just haven't. I don't feel like I've seen enough of it to accurately judge it. That said, I'm still going to judge it based on what I've seen. I mean, for me, this class, it could be S tier, it could be D tier. I really have no idea where this thing is going to end up. Just because the cheese I've seen and the cheese potential of it, who knows at this point. But what I will say is that based on what I've seen at this particular moment, I'm going to have to put it. This is a little bit more my style because I don't mind the whole buffing, standing in the background. I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say probably B, front running. No, I'll put it at the end of B tier, honestly, because while this is intriguing, there's just so many other classes to play, and I don't know. I don't know how it's going to develop, so I'm just really not quite sure where to put this thing. Now, one thing I'll say also is that I do think this class is going to have some very interesting synergy with the Warfare, which we'll talk about in just a bit. But I just really feel like I don't have enough information as to even have the faintest clue where to put it. So I'm just going to drop it in B, just put it in a little holding pattern for now, and we'll see.
Yeah, so for me, believe it or not, I don't really have any disdain for this, even though it's, even though like I don't like the Mage and the how that vocation seems to be architected. And I think
Yeah.
it's because they take attacking away entirely. It's like it kind of feels like I'm being given permission to play the game an entirely different way. And that kind of makes up for the fact that I can't do damage.
Yeah.
So I think just because it's going to be its own game, it feels like it's going to be its own version of the game. I'm going to put it in B tier behind Fighter, actually.
Yeah, and it really is intriguing, but we'll just have to wait and see. Because like,
yeah. No,
go ahead, Jeff. If we get some just like crazy mind control cheese ability, like I just don't know how far this thing can go. And I don't mind playing as a kind of backline person. I don't mind buffing. I don't mind support. And you also have to think about there's so many other just amazing classes in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we'll see. I'm not sure what to make of this one quite yet, Jeff.
Yeah, I don't necessarily mind that either. The thing is, for me, it's so different that it almost feels like it would be worth having its own playthrough where you're just the trickster.
I totally
It feels
agree.
like it totally changes the game. And I'm almost like, I've thought about that in the back of my mind that I'm like, if this is like, if the mechanics of this are good enough, like second playthrough, I could just do solo trickster or a playthrough. I wouldn't have
so into that.
I wouldn't have a problem doing a solo trickster run because it's like, it's just so different. It's like the difference between like Super Mario Bros. And like the
it's going to challenge
Mario,
you in so many.
Mario versus Donkey Kong, you know, it's
exactly.
Like it's like when they take. It reminds me of like that, like when Nintendo takes like one of their core franchises and then just makes like a what this is it's an RTS now. Why are you doing that? But like for this, it looks fun. It looks funny and interesting, and the things that they gave you as a substitute for damage, like having the fall damage be the way, like you're tricking them off of ledges, you're tricking enemies off of ledges. That's like a core mechanic of the class. That's like,
I do enjoy
that's
that,
hilarious enough that I'm not going to discount it. You know, it's just, it could be really putting it in B is taking into account like my skill set here. There's a possibility that this for me is just, it's not going to go well at all, but there's a possibility it could be hilarious in a totally new game. So because of that,
depends,
you know,
go ahead. For me, it depends on like how cumbersome it is to do all this. Mm-hmm. You know, the buffing is one thing, the stunning of bosses and stuff like that's all super great. But for me, for this class to really shine, I need shenanigans, Jeff. I need just wild, crazy shenanigans. And what I've seen is interesting, getting enemies to jump off cliffs and whatnot. But it's not quite there yet. I just need absolute trollish madness. And we'll see how that fully manifests once the game is in our hands.
Yeah. Okay, and the last but certainly not least, the Warfare. Very special.
This is fascinating.
Vocation.
This is such a fascinating vocation.
The Warfare is a new vocation exclusive to the Arisen that can use every weapon and learn different skills from each vocation. By using diverse weapons, the Warfare can respond to any situation and create combos that cross vocational boundaries. The Warfare's lower base stats require them to utilize the situational strengths of different weapon types to be on par with other vocations with specialized strengths. Oh boy. So I mean the possibilities on this one are endless and overwhelming, frankly. Like it's not even clear to me. I've seen some stuff in the comments. I haven't fully investigated, but it's not even clear to me that there are any like true limitations on this beyond the stats themselves. Like you might be
I've seen those too.
So for this one, what do you think? What's your take on? I'll let you go first with this.
This is just a custom class, you know. I look at this and my mind just explodes with possibilities in terms of, I mean, it depends on how, it feels like it really depends on how much it's going to nuke your stats, right? But on the other hand, I mean, you can go crazy in terms of the synergies. I mean, it's like putting an extra party in your party almost. You know, you become like a one-man team of death potentially, depending on how you set this up. And another fascinating thing about it is that it rewards player knowledge. You know, the deeper you get into the game, the more you master these classes. You see everything play out. You get a feel for it. I mean, imagine coming to this at the very end of the game, and you've gotten all these classes under your belt. You've got everything figured out, and you just set up the most badass warfare imaginable, who's just dropping all these crazy, cheesy combos. I mean, it feels like you could. We'll see. Again, it does depend on how badly they nerf your stats, but it doesn't look too awful based on the limited things I've seen. I just see so much potential here, Jeff. It looks very intriguing.
For sure. Okay, so what would you rate it then?
I gotta, this may seem a little wild, but I gotta put it at the very top. I'm putting it at the very top of S. Yeah, I just see so much potential in this class to be whatever you want to be. I mean, it's like the Build-A-Bear workshop of classes. At the very front, even in front of Sorcerer. Jeff.
Really?
Right, because I mean, because if you want to be a Sorcerer, just switch to a Sorcerer. Oh, I don't feel like casting a spell right now. Okay, I'm gonna flip over to Mystic Spearhand and be, a Jedi for a minute. Oh, and now I'm gonna go do this other thing. Oh, I want to play as a Trickster for a second so I can set up an invisible wall to hide behind while I cast my next badass Sorcerer spell. Like the possibilities on this just seem out of this world. I mean, it feels like they've just, by this one class, they've added so many more classes to the game, because now we can combine all the other classes and just make whatever color, whatever flavor of class we want. And I also love the idea of kind of rewarding the player for the deeper they get into the game. But that said, I don't know exactly how it's going to play out. This rating,
but you're optimistic.
I reserve the right. Yeah, I'm optimistic. I'm very optimistic. I reserve the right to change this, but it really does look incredible.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. Well, yeah, that was surprising. I was like, oh, nothing's being Sorcerer for Jesse. Wow. But yeah, I mean, that's a good point. For me, I'm a bit more apprehensive about how this is going to play out, because they did seem to emphasize that your stats were nerfed. And the thing is, one of those stats is weight, like carrying capacity, I think. So,
your personal hell, Jeff.
So, like, what's the point if you can equip like 9 different weapons if, like, you're over encumbered when you do so? Yeah, or maybe there is a point. Maybe there's a purpose to that. However, on the pure like style points alone, I don't want to give away some of the ideas I've told Jesse about, like in terms of like recreating famous characters and their abilities.
Oh yeah.
But it is very, like, there is so much potential, especially when you think about the Sorcerer and combining the Sorcerer with anything else, or the Trickster's buff with anything else. Like, all of that is very, very interesting. It's just, for me, I'm apprehensive about how much they if they nerf your stats enough that it's not fun.
Yeah, totally fair.
I'm apprehensive about how many different combinations are going to create true synergy that like makes this S tier, which would be competing with like combinations of skills and weapons that the developers came up with, basically.
Yeah.
Is like, and I'm also apprehensive about my ability to get it to that level, if that even exists. So, I'm going to be playing. This is going to be probably the most I've ever going to have played a game, definitely on stream, but like, we're going to play the heck out of this game. So it is possible, but because of that, I'm going to put it in B tier, because I am apprehensive on all those different vectors. However,
I totally get it.
However, I'm going to put it ahead of of both the Fighter and the Trickster. I'm putting it ahead of the Trickster because my fallback for if I don't enjoy the Trickster would be to combine it with other elements in the warfare, and try some Trickster hybrid, salvage the parts I like. And I'm putting it ahead of the Fighter just because, like, the Fighter seems like the nice core base average, like, it's not taking a lot of risk, but it is solid. And it's like, if I had the option to start as a warfare, I would almost want to pick that as an option. I feel like a lot of people are going to choose Fighter for their first playthrough to start out as. I feel like if you were to do New Game Plus, for example, you would pick Warfare and just start messing around with different stuff. So it feels like, if nothing else, when you get the opportunity to switch to it, it'll be a great way to like experiment with different vocations simultaneously, potentially, or like, even if for example, like, even if you like can't you're not at the point where you can figure out like how to combine the different skills and weapons together. Let's say you've tried a little bit of everything. You're like 20 hours in. You've tried a little bit of all the different class or vocations. You've unlocked some skills. You can put them on the warfare and like you can A/B test them side by side. You could be like, okay,
that's
do I like, do I like the warrior, how the way the warrior swings his sword, or the way the spearhand swings his duo spear, and like you could really, it might even just be like a helpful utility to like compare and contrast things on the fly, so you can kind of decide more quickly how you want to specialize as you get into mid game or late game. So
that's so interesting. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just like an endless well of potential. And I do have to confess, like, I'm not always super into the loading screen simulator stuff. So the potential to like mix it up every now and again and turn into a Jedi or whatever class I'm feeling for that particular combination, that's just so attractive to me, how you can potentially build this up. But yeah, we'll see how it manifests. I really do hope that the stat nerf isn't that bad. Like maybe once you level, I'm not exactly sure how they implemented this vocation, but
yeah, I guess
maybe once you level it up,
I'm a bit more pessimistic on that. Like that always is lurking in the back of my mind.
That's totally understandable. I mean, this could be a complete nightmare and a joke and a bomb for all I know. But looking at it as a ball of possibility, it's just like shining brighter than the sun for me right now, because it's any class you want it to be, any element from any class you want it to be. It's you build your own class. You just take anything you want, shove it in, and you just kick as much ass as possible. And again, hopefully those stats aren't nerfed too bad to where you can't line up every little duck just nicely and neatly in a row.
Yeah, very true. And all right, that was the last one. So these are our final results. On my side, I have Mystic Spearhand at number 1, and also in the S tier is Magic Archer, followed by Thief, Archer, and Sorcerer in the A tier. And then we have Warfarer, Fighter, and Trickster. You see me trying to remember what each one means in the B tier, and then Warrior in C tier and Mage in D tier. Now,
for me, I've got Warfare in S, Sorcerer in S, Mystic Spearhand in S, Mystic Archer in S. A tier is Mage. B, that one's Warrior, yeah. And then I have, Archer and Trickster in B as well. And then lastly in C, I've got Thief, followed by Fighter. So there you go. I'm curious what everyone else's tier lists are going to be.
Yeah, we'll link this tier list in the description, so you can just click it down below and tell us what your. I guess you can comment the link. I don't know if YouTube lets you make the link clickable when you comment it, but if you join our Discord, you can post it in the Discord.
Exactly, I was just about to say that. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a Discord in the link to that's in the description down below as well. So you could post in there. We can compare and.
And we're gonna do another one of these, like you were saying earlier, at some point, and we get to kind of. It's kind of nice now because we can kind of compare and contrast and see where we're maybe right, we're maybe wrong, how our opinions changed, etc.
If things go according to plan, it'll be after we beat this game, I think. Because or after I've like settled on a final build to beat the game, if nothing else. Because when I say things go as planned, because my plan is to play every different vocation as much as I can. And I'm just hoping there's enough content to accommodate, growing out like every different vocation, at least like to the middle, before I switch to something else. Like I would really like to get, especially because we have this wild card warfare vocation that seems like
not to mention the Trickster.
Yeah, not to mention the Trickster, but because we have this warfare vocation, that like it seems like there's a possibility this ends up being an end game, the end game vocation of choice, but it's just an amalgamation of all of your skills, your understanding of the game. I'm going to go very wide on this and then start to go as deep as the game will allow me on each individual one.
Yeah.
So once I get to a point where I'm finishing off the game, we would come back and I would try to, hopefully I'll have like a super enlightened view. I expect for me, like maybe this will
Jeff
like,
descends from the mountaintops to give his new tier list.
yeah, like maybe Warfare ends up in S, maybe like Mage jumps up drastically, maybe something like
Yeah.
Thief falls, it's hard to tell, but Trickster could go either way.
Yeah, I could see Trickster is the huge wild card for me. I definitely see the wild card potential in Warfare, but I am kind of convinced that's going to be end game badass level stuff there. But the Trickster, I just don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
We'll see.
I think we've got a community rank here. I'm not sure if that. Okay, there's no tier list to show. Wow, we're like first to this. Okay, we're
Okay.
we're some innovative Dragon's Dogma content creators. I guess there's not enough data to show what the community ranked that. So you guys are gonna have to like fill in this community rank. You guys are gonna have to take the tier list and let us know. Share it in our Discord, stuff like that. I guess to fill that out. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. We hope you let us know if you like this. This is new for us. This is our first tier list we've ever done. Been a YouTube channel for like 2 years. We haven't done a tier list yet. So this is
How dare we? How dare we?
I guess it was fitting. It was for Dragon's Dogma 2. So
yeah,
and then let us know what your results were in the comments. Share the link in our Discord. Take the tier list for yourself and. Yeah, leave a like on the video. We'd appreciate that. We'd also appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel. It is free. We go live every Saturday, 3 p.m. EST, and that includes this Saturday, which will be us kicking off Dragon's Dogma 2.
Yes.
So if you're playing the game, I think it's coming out for a lot of people like on Thursday. If you're playing the game and you're binging it, consider joining the stream. Like I will not be starting the game until Saturday. So if you've played a lot
you'll
of
have time to get ahead.
If you've played a lot of there's a good chance you'll be ahead of me for a lot of this. So
all of it.
We're kind of doing that intentionally. Also, I'm just planning on going really slow and wide with this one. So
just really taking our time and enjoying it.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks for watching. Peace out.
See ya.